Ahoy, Sveta! Welcome to Look, Look and Look Again 15. Now, let's go all Agitprop again as we take a look at a 1963 film from the Czech Republic. Considered by some to be one of the best science fiction films of that era from the Eastern Bloc, it even inspired Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. So, without further ado, on today's Look, Look and Look Again, it's...
Země není. Země nikdy nebyla! Michale, stůj! Michale, slyšíš? Zachráníme tě!
Ikarie XB1 would not be out of place in the classic BBC series Out of the Unknown, for here science fiction is very grown up. Ikarie XB1 is science fiction adventure in a pure form and could have easily been penned by the greats such as Isaac Asimov or Bradbury, although sources do indicate that Stanislav Lem had something to do with the concept, as the actual film is loosely based on his 1955 novel, The Magellanic Cloud. The story is totally engrossing and the sets are mind-blowing. The actual production values and sets are exquisite in design, and it is little wonder it has been cited as an influence on Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. When Ikarie XB1 was shown at the Trieste Science Fiction Film Festival in 1963, it proved a hit. Unfortunately, the film was snatched up by Roger Corman and regurgitated into a cut-and-paste American-friendly feature entitled Voyage to the End of the Universe. Mercilessly, the plot elements were altered quite significantly, the storyline was dumbed down, and for many years it seemed to be the only version widely seen and played on syndicated television stations throughout the States during the 60s and 70s. It also seemed that this was the only version available. Like other Eastern Bloc fantasy films, it was re-edited and redubbed, and of course anything that would seduce the viewer into a staunch Marxist was cut as paranoia fueled these politically neurotic times of the Cold War. It's very interesting to note that if critics over at this time in the United States of America suspected or revealed that the film to have Soviet leanings, the propaganda was the first thing to be targeted, and then the movie was slated. This was a rule of thumb during those times. This even happened to The Sword and the Dragon if you require further backup, so do some reading on that. Ikarie XB1 in its original form came and went and remained something of an enigma to those enthusiasts in the Western Hemisphere. Rumours abound that initially the film was made in colour, which is a complete no-no. The 35mm print has always been in glorious monochrome. There was another rumour that it was Russian, another error. It's Czech, and that the old favourite to G up the film collector, The Duration, erroneously mentioned that it ran over 2 hours. Urban myths tumbled forth, making it difficult to separate fact from fiction. It was only until after the millennium that the new medium of DVD provided a definitive release to a new appreciative audience and restored this gem into its full Eastern Bloc glory. Right, comrades, let's settle down and stew a few beetroots as we look at the plot. In the 22nd century, the Ikarie XB1 from Earth ventures across the galaxy on its mission to a satellite of the star Alpha Centauri, known only to the crew as the White Planet. On the ship are a 40-strong international crew, each with a story in this representation of an interstellar community. The voyage is of a 2-year round trip, and all the amenities are catered for, including a gymnasium and sauna facilities. The Ikarie seems to have all the mod cons of the Starship Enterprise, but they were here first, it seems. Within this microcosm of society, we are introduced to an engineer who is having a visual conference with his expectant wife and laments that due to the way in which time works in space travel, the baby will be 15 years when he sees her in 2 years' time, if he ever makes it back. During the conversation, the communication breaks up and dies, as at this point the Ikarie is now out of range for the telecommunications to reach it. A married couple are also introduced, and the mother is expectant, though she is warned that there may be complications with the birth, as this has never been tested before in such unusual conditions. The science officer is introduced as well as his friendly robot, providing amusement for the other crew, as due to the circuitry suffering a bit of wear, it can sometimes break down in gibberish and messy syntax. The science officer is also mocked for his affection he has for it.
Nadiktoval uzené banány.
Sušený hovězí vývar.
Medem.
A zmrzlinu na česnek
s medem. A tohle mu vypadlo.
Jo, dobrou chuť.
Takhle si představovali kosmickou stravu naši předkové. Romantici.
No, a jsem po obědě.
Antony, dobrou chuť. Je 26. června 2003. Ranní teploty kolem 15.
Tady je zázrak minulého století. Kovový muž, který nejenom...
Počkej, nesahej.
Už ho máš zase sebou.
Pokud se pamatují, každý člen posádky má právo vzít sebou za prvé libovolné množství osobních předmětů, za druhé...
Tohle je osobní předmět?
Mám ho už 80 let. To je tedy pěkná starožitnost. Cože?
Ale co si s ním tady počneš, Antony?
Jak to? Vždycky se mnou létá.
We then see the other characters going about their daily routines, and we are then also privy to a birthday party, Ikarie style. Various revelers start to dance in a techno minuet before lunging into a frenzied jive, providing a highly amusing experience for the viewer as the director tries to enforce the otherworldly and futuristic way of how dances and music changes, except it comes across as just that little bit dated, but fun nevertheless.
Ale kde pak, dítě, na tohle už nejsem. Ale kde pak,
Naučí.
takové obsasa.
Tak obsasa, jo.
As the scene is set, and it's all rather cosy, albeit futuristic, but cosy nevertheless, we then venture into more darker territory as the story changes, demonstrating the dangers of radioactivity. On its journey, the Ikarie XB1 pauses at a deserted spaceship, and 2 cosmonauts are sent in to investigate it. The data bank on board confirms the ship to be military orientated and that it was known as the Tornado, launched in 1987. In an eerie sequence of events, the two find the ship inhabited by an assorted array of cadavers, some of them still holding playing cards at the time of a catastrophic event. 2 officers are found dead, shot dead by each other's ray guns. It is revealed that they went loco, killing the crew first with gas to conserve the dwindling oxygen supply, before eventually turning on each other. In one memorable sequence, a cosmonaut touches the face of one of the cadavers, only to see it liquefy in front of his very eyes. As they leave, one inadvertently starts a countdown, and trapped on board are engulfed in the self-destruction. Fortunately, the Ikarie manages to escape in time, avoiding any impact of the cataclysm. On its 3rd stop, the Ikarie enters into an area of radioactivity emanating from a dark star. The crew becomes seriously affected as madness and derangement seeps into their psychological stable bubble. Returning from a mission to install a new power module, cosmonauts Svensson and Michael fall foul of the radioactivity and sport some horrific burns and atomic-induced psychosis. Michael runs amok and threatens to destroy the Ikarie, placing all life on board in peril.
Ale jak? Já bych měl řešení. Doleva.
The captain comes to the rescue and through diplomacy and the gift of the gab persuades Michael to surrender peacefully. The radiation, however, tightens its grip on the whole crew as they become zombie-like before fading into a deep unconscious. Although carpentry and paper is utilised rather than plastic and fiberglass, the sets of the Ikarie are unbelievably awe-inspiring, comprising of hexagonal and angular corridors. This gives the director Jindřich Polák the opportunity to move around the interior with graceful fluidity. The superb direction, coupled with some highly intelligent science fiction gimmicks, equate to a winning formula where visually the viewer is spoiled. Polák maximizes all the space on the big set for all it's worth and contrasts it well with the more claustrophobic tensions where the crew investigate the derelict spacecraft. The only scenes to be filmed off-set were those in the airshaft where a 200-meter television transmitter was used in Prague. Amongst the other novel touches are those of the framework that holds the society of Ikarie together. What I thought was especially memorable were the strange files used for recreation and seemed a substitute for cigarettes, spliffs, at the party. They seem to result in some type of high, indulging the participants in nostalgia of their homeland. After inhaling one of the files, one person quips, "November," to be greeted with the response, "No Earth." Wonderfully surrealistic stuff. Polák seems to grab our attention right from the very start, as the credits play over the maddened Michael stalking the ship's corridors in a fit of pique, as he is monitored by the electronic eyes that beam his image back to the control room. It is this moment that acts as a denouement some 70 minutes or more later. This is the perfect hook, as you yearn to know more, so you stay with the movie. Well, it worked for me anyway. The only ills of capitalism in Ikarie XB1 arise when the cosmonauts investigate the odd doings in the tornado, apparent in its Western origins. The weapons are unusually painted and represented in a way that they resemble toys rather than the lethal destructors they are. They even have English names such as Tigger Fun. This seems to show that this crew associates violence as the biggest game of all. In the US version, these scenes were excised and, when necessary, explain that the ship is that of a warmongering alien civilization, despite it can be seen that the playing cards and numbers are Earth-orientated. The US cut and paste did away with character development regarding the inhabitants of Ikarie, including a lovely sequence where a guy grows a flower on board the ship in order to woo the one he is in love with. This comes across as sincerely tender. As well as the courtship, the space baby scenes have also been dropped, which is integral to the ending as an allegory of rebirth after the trauma that has gone before it. Shamefully, the ending has been changed entirely. Instead of the white planet, Ikarie approaches the green planet, which turns out to be Earth. And instead of the utopian ending of the original, with the clouds revealing the city, we see a ropey bit of stock footage revealing the Statue of Liberty instead. Naff. If you see this dumbed-down version, expect a version significantly pale in comparison to the original, where the characters are far colder than the Americans ever portrayed the communists to be. I managed to procure the unexpurgated version on Region 2 DVD release via the Entertain Market label in Germany as part of their Utopisch Film Klassiker range. Although this features a decent print, kudos is reduced dramatically due to the poor subtitling. Although we get the English sub, its fault lies with the timing. The subs appear and disappear quicker than a light year, and at times are completely out of sync with the characters. I checked this in all my DVD players and the computer as well, and unfortunately believe this to be a flaw with the DVD. Anyway, with regards to the film My Quest, the quest is the quest, I procured the second run DVD, which was an upgrade, and I'm pleased to say that the subtitles worked this time round, so it was an easier film to follow. Got some good news. I've just heard that the company Second Run are going to release Ikarie XB1 on a Blu-ray release that's available at the end of March. So fingers crossed, it's going to be packed with extras as well as additional scenes, and will also feature apparently some of the cuts that were made and some of the re-edits that culminated in the Voyage to the End of the Universe print. So that's something to look forward to, I think.
In this futuristic spaceship, a whole community flies through time beyond space to the end of the universe. Voyage to the End of the Universe is not only dangerous adventure. Exotic food is the daily menu. That is, for most space travelers. And the design for social intercourse, shocking as it may seem, is enjoyed by both sexes.
Emergency, emergency. This is automatic central control.
We're getting closer. If I'm right about it, we're in great danger.
Prepare an expedition to go out.
This ship gives me a feeling of death. Captain, these were human beings.
Human beings?
Yes, sir. The ship has been a vacuum for centuries.
Leave the ship. Immediately. There are radioactive weapons on board. Don't touch anything. Hurry!